Today I'm continuing with the walleye jigs with the custom airbrushed heads. We're going to make it glow. Stay tuned. So I'm back at the bench and continuing with the walleye jigs that we had, the custom airbrushed heads. 3 new patterns that I want to offer in the 2023 season. First we did the walleye pattern and then also the American shad pattern. But today we're continuing, and what I'd like to show you today is a pattern that has worked pretty well. We've talked about some of the old-timey jigs recently, and one of the paint styles that seems pretty popular across the board, from ice fishing and catching the smaller fish all the way up to, you know, catching those fish with teeth, is a paint pattern where you have a solid color jig head with a painted nose. That's what we've kind of done here today. A popular color, something that's nice and bright and colorful, would be a fluorescent yellow head with fluorescent tail. We could tie these in a few different ways. We could use materials that had some UV properties. Often I would do the fluorescent yellow with a black top wing, and the fluorescent yellow head would be striped with black. That's an old, kind of old-fashioned. A lot of old-timers like that pattern. But just a simple chartreuse or fluorescent yellow head with the fluorescent body is a popular color, and it works throughout the fishing season. Taking that one step further and kind of combining that with the 2-color head. So what I've come up with is a fluorescent yellow head with the orange nose, and I think this color combination has always been a winner. And what we're going to do is, I have a pattern here using some Glow Flashabou. A very simple jig, but with that glow feature, really makes a difference. Very popular jig, great jig for walleye, popular color combination. That's what we're going to tie here today. So the jigs that we have tied in the last couple videos have been the 5/8, and we're going to stick with that same size. We start with our size A nylon thread. This is unwaxed, nothing fancy. This is just a regular good rod wrapping thread. And I've been tying a few of these. As you can see, my tail's been used, but we're going to just tie a basic bucktail jig. Grab our pinch, and as always, we remove the broken hairs and the fuzz from the base of the pinch, and then I switch my grip and just restack some of these longest hairs back into my pinch to look somewhat uniform. I don't want it to look like it went through a hair stacker. I do want to hope that it retains some look of being natural. The length of the tail will be the length of the body past the bend of the hook. And when I get the size that I want, the length, I can switch my grip one last time and keep this pinch tight throughout the entire process. That was 5 wraps towards the bend of the hook, 2 wraps back, crossing over. To lock that into place, we retain a nice V, locking that hair in place, and I can give that whole pinch a twist. We can take a second pinch of this fluorescent yellow. This has a little bit of brown in it from the center part of that tail. Most of those will come out here at this stage. But if there's a few strands left in there, I don't much worry about that. I think a little bit of the additional color does look natural. Nothing in nature is perfect. And here I'm just putting my left hand up to the vise just so I can see the tips of the hairs against my finger, just to make sure that they're the same length. Switch my grip and keep this pinch nice and tight. 5 wraps towards the bend of the hook, a couple wraps back. And then I loosen the lock on my vise just so I can rotate the jig and have easy access to each side. So I'm going to place 8 strands of the glow, and in this case it's a glow orange Flashabou. You can get the Flashabou in any of your typical glow colors: pink, fluorescent yellow, white, green, blue, and orange. I lick the strands of the Flashabou just so I can square up the tips. I lock this right in place along the lateral line with 4 or 5 wraps. Before I turn it, I'm going to trim the Flashabou the same length as the hair. I don't like it to extend past the hair. I'm trying to avoid short strikes. And again, 8 strands. Square up the ends, and you can lock right along the lateral line. So I did a couple wraps towards the bend of the hook and stopped at my last wrap to line up the wraps. You know, I'm not trying to make a big wide collar. I like to maintain a nice short collar. And then I can trim those before I go any farther, and rotate my vise back up to finish the collar. Walking the thread up to the head, I can walk it back about halfway and then walk it back up to the head. To finish off the collar, as always, you can use a whip finish tool or whip finish by hand. I like to put a loop of an opposite color thread underneath my last wrap. Can wrap the threads down towards the center of the collar and then back up to the head, just to make that nice cone shape. I maintain tension between either hand in the vise on this tag end, so that when I put the tag end through the loop and pull it through, that collar stays nice and snug. To finish this off, I go to my lacquer-based head cement, thin just enough so it does soak into the threads. Now you can use, they do make a glow thread. That would be another nice addition. I have a couple spools of glow thread, but I don't use it. It's a 3/0 size, so I would be going through an awful lot of thread to wrap a jig this size, and it's the white glow, so I save that mostly for ice fishing jigs and smaller flies. But you know, if you keep an eye out, you can find the glow thread in colors that would match what we're doing. But this is a super pretty jig, nice and colorful. And it certainly will catch a walleye or two. I'm going to tie a whole bunch more of those this evening, and then I have some painting to do. I need to make sure that I fill the boxes with some of these new patterns that we have for the upcoming season in 2023. So, you know, we're halfway through November in 2022, and like most tyers, I'm tying today what we're going to need for in the spring. So I'm sure I'll show more of these as the winter progresses. At the very least, put some more pictures up on Instagram, and people can kind of follow the progress there. I most certainly will post photos when I do the different sized heads. So if I do the 1/2s, and these patterns also look really good in the flat head and the ball head. I'm not planning on having a stock of those, but I might tie up a bunch. So that will keep me busy along with all my other tying for the rest of the winter. So if you enjoyed what we did here today, go ahead, put some comments down below. As always, like and subscribe so you don't miss any new content. And feel free to share any of the videos. We get a lot of good discourse back and forth, a lot of good comments. I have a lot of good conversations even behind the scenes and through other avenues, email and whatnot. So I just enjoy talking about tying jigs, casting jigs, and more than willing to tell all our secrets. So with that in mind, until next time, guys, keep tying and tight lines.